CBS and Paramount Plus. 4 o'clock games coming up today. Some fun action here. Raiders at Broncos. Broncos, Coach Nathaniel Hackett giving up play calling duties. We'll see if that impacts Russell Wilson. Cowboys and Vikings, going to talk about that game in a second. Should be an exciting one there with lots of points, lots of fantasy implications, and lots of implications for the NFC #1 seed potentially. Bengals at Steelers, rematch from week 1. See if the Bengals can get their revenge and how the Steelers do containing that Bengals offense coming off a bye. Break down the Vikings and the Cowboys. Tom Spencer joins us now on Fantasy Football Today, as always does. Tom is in the booth with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, and so looking forward to that call today. Tom, let's start with the big story coming out of Dallas that Ezekiel Elliott is expected to play, but might be playing with a brace on his knee. What have you heard about the Cowboys running back situation and how that impacts Tony Pollard?
Well, Tony Pollard's been all world so far this year. And, of course, this is a dynamic that's going to play out the rest of the season. As Mike McCarthy was telling us, Jamie, these are 2 of our best players. We want them to be participants in the game, and how they divvy up the carries and the distribution today is to be determined. You know, Mike's sort of baseline benchmark for the Cowboys each week is 30 carries, 30 rushes at least. So how do you want to divvy that up today? You know, Pollard led the league last year in yards per touch. He's leading again this year, as you can see on the screen. Zeke Elliott not having a bad season himself. They need both guys healthy down the stretch because Dallas loves to run the football. They've averaged 159 yards their last 5 games. So, you know, in a hypothetical world, you don't want Pollard carrying the ball 22, 25 times a game. So, you know, I see the distribution being more along the lines of maybe 17, 18 rushes for Pollard, you know, 12 to 13 for Zeke. Symbolically, I'll be very interested to see how the Cowboys start this game. Will Zeke be on the field as the starter? You know, he's a prideful guy. He's been the face of the offense with Dak for the last 5-6 years. Pollard clearly coming up through the ranks. Remember, he's on his rookie contract, so big payday, you know, down the road for him. How will the Cowboys handle that? But there is some chemistry that you have to, you know, think about there. These 2 teammates, as far as we know, get along fantastically. They're both outstanding, you know, weapons for the Cowboys offense. But how will McCarthy start the game today? And then how will he break up the distribution once it gets rolling?
Oh, let's give Zeke the first carry and give the next 20 to Pollard, then see what Zeke does at the end of the game. Most of our fantasy managers would love to see that unfold based on what Pollard has done. You mentioned chemistry and relationship. It seemed like Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb had a little bit of an off game last week, despite them putting up good numbers. Just talk about the state of the Cowboys passing game, because 2 games ago it was more of Dak as a game manager. Then the game got a little bit loose last week, and he threw the ball 46 times. So what's the approach today against the Vikings, knowing that the running game could be a little bit, you know, maybe off kilter with trying to work the guys back in? Vikings very good against the run. Just give me your state of the Cowboys passing game coming into this matchup.
Well, as you saw in Melanie Collins' report up in New England, you know, weather is obviously an issue in a lot of stadiums around the country, but not here. Very frigid outside Minneapolis, but we'll be indoors today, of course. And McCarthy brought this up for Dak's performance last week at Lambeau. You know, really has not played a lot of road games this year, and it was his first, you know, outdoor, you know, effort at Lambeau Field in quite a while in cold weather, in the elements. So, you know, Dak didn't necessarily throw the ball as well as he can. The Cowboys offense this year, once again, it is a run-oriented team. Dak's numbers way down from what we're used to. He's only averaging 214 yards per game. Here's a statistic, Jamie, that impacts both the Cowboys winning and losing and fantasy managers. Dak Prescott on 3rd and 4th down this year is completing only 43% of his passes. That's an NFL low.
Wow.
So what does that do? Obviously, it gets the Cowboys offense off the field. Secondly, their time of possession is 31st in the league. So they are just not accumulating the numbers that we're accustomed to seeing. CeeDee Lamb coming off the big game, as you point out, but they felt like they left some big plays on the table up there. So chance today to get the offense rolling, get the pass game going. You know, Gallup continues to practice each and every week, so he's getting healthier. Dalton Schultz, who's big in this offense, and I know we'll talk about the tight ends, you know, shortly here. The more he plays, the more comfort Dak has throwing the ball over the middle. So as Dallas gets healthier, their offense should get healthier in the second half and the latter stretch of the season.
Yeah, looking forward to that report continuing for Dalton Schultz and Dak Prescott. And you mentioned the tight end, so let's talk about the new guy for the Vikings. They acquired T.J. Hockenson at the trade deadline, and so far it seems like things are going well. Just from your conversations with the Vikings there, how have they liked the addition of T.J. Hockenson, and how has it sort of impacted the rest of the receivers there? Because Justin Jefferson's still putting up numbers, but Adam Thielen maybe tailing off a little bit. K.J. Osborne's sort of been up and down. So just how is this all working together so far for Minnesota?
I've never heard this description of a tight end before, as we heard from Kirk Cousins the other day. He called him a mattress. Okay, so picture a bed that can catch footballs, and that's T.J. Hockenson. He is such a big target over the middle. You know, he's been targeted 19 times since the trade on November 1st, and that's second on the team. Thielen, I'll point out this to you, Jamie. 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games against the Cowboys here in this stadium. So he's always a threat down the red zone. We know what Jefferson did last week. Hockenson already has a touchdown on this field this year as a member of the Lions. And I'm thinking, as I mentioned earlier, between Dalton Schultz, who had a touchdown catch 2 years ago on this field to win the game for Dallas, or at least provide them with the winning points, and T.J. Hockenson, to me, and I'd be curious your thoughts, as we go down the stretch of the season, they're probably in your top 5 tight ends for production if they're healthy. You know, these are offenses, and Minnesota, by the way, plays their next 5 of 6 games at home, their next 6 games indoors. They don't have to go outside again until next year, January 1st at Lambeau. So, like I said with Dallas earlier, I can see Minnesota's offense getting even better in the second half of the season. They're still learning a new system with a new coach. Kevin O'Connell has brought a lot of great concepts to this team. Cousins is as comfortable as he's ever been. He's throwing the ball more to Jefferson in 50-50 scenarios. So there's a lot of trust there that's building up. And you bring in Dalvin Cook and all the weapons they have spread across the field. I see both these offenses getting much better as we head down the stretch.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very exciting. Just in your point about the tight ends, yes, they both will be certainly in the top 5 range. Hard to get away from what they are. They're definitely top 5 for this week with the teams on a bye in some of the circumstances. But yes, Dalton Schultz, T.J. Hockenson definitely trending in the right direction. All right, you mentioned Kirk Cousins and getting comfortable, but we know this is the type of situation that tends to make him uncomfortable, at least from the public perception. It's a big game. Is Kirk Cousins going to step up in a big game against the Cowboys today?
Well, Dan Quinn's going to have something to say about it. Now, Dallas's rush defense has been awful, right, the last 2 weeks. They've given up over 200 yards rushing. So you'd think Minnesota would like to expose that weakness. But that said, you're looking back at Dalvin Cook's numbers in this game last season. He only had 78 yards rushing and did not catch a pass. So Quinn brought this up the other day. You know, the easy check down screen plays are something they would like to nullify today. So, you know, Cousins is going to have to throw the ball down the field, but he is, as I said earlier, not turning into necessarily a gunslinger, but he's got touchdowns in 39 consecutive games. That's a pretty strong statistic, right? So Kirk is getting it done when he needs to. He's learning this offense, you know, as we progress through the year. His numbers are solid. He's got a dominant number 1 receiver. He just needs, you know, 2 or 3 other guys to step up and clearly get the protection against Dallas's pass rush today. There's the key to the game. If Dallas can get back with Micah Parsons and get heat on the quarterback, they're going to be tough to beat. But if Kirk's got time to scan this field and look for his weapons, I think he'll put up over 300 yards for sure.
Yeah, it should be an exciting matchup there. Just real quick, DeMarcus Lawrence, you expect him to be playing in this game?
Yeah, do expect him, but again, could be limited. A lot of injuries there in his body. So if his performance is minimized at all, you know, that's a big thing for Minnesota.
Yep, certainly can help avoiding the pass rush, and maybe Kirk Cousins does step up and have a big game. Tom, we appreciate your time as always. Enjoy the game. We're looking forward to the call on CBS later on today. Make sure you're checking out Inside the NFL. Every episode drops Tuesday exclusively on Paramount+. JB and the gang get you covered with everything you need. All the news, all the notes, all the insight. Inside the NFL drops every Tuesday exclusively on Paramount+.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.